Bison Media Zone on WDAY Extra.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of the Bison Media Zone. We do it each and every Wednesday at 10:30 on WDAY Extra with Jeff Kolpak. I'm Dom Izzo. Is all set for another playoff edition, but the brakes have been put on that one. I've had many of people ask me, like, what are you guys going to do now over the next little bit? I think the Bison football offices are in the same boat right now.
Well, what day is it? Wednesday? I lost my routine. I'm out of the routine already because during football season, that's what we do.
Yes.
You know, Monday, then Tuesday's press conference, player availability, and so on. Now it's transfer portal season.
Yes,
I had
it
a
is.
story on Inform.com this morning that it is for FCS teams, and especially the good ones like NDSU. It's a nervous and an anxious time of the year because here come the vultures. They're swinging, and there's more time now. That's going to be the biggest issue.
Right. Without playing games for the next 3 weeks, that's going to be the really, really intriguing stuff. I want to get to that in a second. It went from injury to insult for Bison football fans with Cole Payton's news that he broke his thumb on the play at the end of the game, which is devastating in a couple of aspects. Obviously, if the Bison had won, he wouldn't have been able to play. If you think about that, then Nathan Hayes would have been the guy. Second, now Payton's shot of playing in any kind of either Senior Bowl, East-West Shrine game is done. And that's going to be really hard now for him to get a good or legitimate NFL look because he's not going to be able to play for a bit.
Yeah, really a kick to the groin, if you will. I mean, just and he was such a upstanding individual all season. I mean, just met with the media all the time, was very steady, was very consistent with how he approached the game. And just a shame, really.
Yeah.
And I almost put it up there with Noah Gindorf. Remember, Noah had those foot problems, and that really prevented him from, I think, getting a real fair and legitimate shot at his NFL chance. He'll still have it. I mean, hopefully he'll have his pro day. He'll be back ready to throw then. I mean, he may have missed an all-star game this year, and that wasn't certain yet anyway. It wasn't like he already had the Senior Bowl invite. But now he'll miss, some time as far as throwing with a quarterback coach, I suppose. And
the fascinating part about this, if they had somehow found a way to get a first down and kick a field goal, what that would have looked like with Nathan Hayes leading the way for the playoffs after that.
Well, but he's an experienced guy too. I mean, he played in most games this year, and he throws a really good ball. I mean, for the velocity and arm strength and all those things, I think he's probably one of the elite FCS quarterbacks coming back in that regard. Now, he just hasn't seen all the pictures.
All right, so you mentioned the portal, and we're going to go through a list of guys here. I think that is probably our maybe beyond best guess. I think there's some solid intel behind that of who's going to be pursued. And I think, if anything we've learned over the last couple of years and who the big money gets thrown at, it's on the lines. If you're a defensive lineman, if you're an offensive lineman, that's where the money is at. It's actually not quarterback or wide receiver, running back. So let's start. Toby Anene comes right to mind because he was fantastic. I thought especially late in the season. He was great in the game against Illinois State. Finished with 8.5 sacks. This is a guy that has the prototype, Jeffrey, that this is a guy that's going to get a lot of looks at.
He looks the part, and it starts there. He's 6'4", 259, can run, can move pretty well. Look at it coming off the edge there. So you start with that. Like Cody Heisman was 6'4", 270 last year. He looked the part, and he can move. And so, he's going to be a target. Now, he has one season of eligibility left. Doesn't seem to matter. These FBS schools will, instead of trying to develop some freshmen, they'll go to the proven commodity. And we've seen over the years that really good FCS defensive linemen are just fine at the FBS level.
That's a good thing, or a good point you brought up in terms of years, because sometimes that skews it as well for the teams that are basically free agents, that if you have multiple years, that's like Marty Brown is a perfect example of that, as opposed to a Cole Wisniewski or Cody Heisman, that the market value goes way up if there's more years to play.
Which makes now Bo Johnson, as a guy who just finished his sophomore year, one of the more attractive. Again, he has the size. He's 6'6", 297, probably going to be north of 300 here in not too distant future. Obviously moves very well. He has the length for a tackle, and that's what you look at. He has the reach.
And again, we talked about this with Summit League Awards in basketball. If you're a first team, if you're on the all-conference list, there are GMs out there. They're just looking like, let's go get this guy. And obviously, Bo is a name out there from down in the Twin Cities, the University of Minnesota would be screaming at me like, all right, go look at them.
Yeah, we're not disclosing anything that nobody
secret,
knows.
right?
It's secret. I mean, every GM, all these teams have GMs now.
Correct.
They know exactly who's good and who's not. It doesn't take long to. You look at the Pro Football Focus rankings. You can start there, although you can debate the accuracy of those. But it's a gauge.
Yep.
It's certainly a gauge that you can go by, and then you go by, film. It's just all so there for everybody to see.
Griffin Empey is another name I think that we have to talk about as well. Right next, who has 2 years of eligibility out there.
I don't know if he has the height though that they're looking for at the FBS level. He's 6'2", 6'3" in that area. I don't know if. I mean, he's good.
Yes.
He's obviously very good. I question whether they want somebody 6'2", 6'3". At the Texas A&M level.
That's a 2-year starter. Kent McCaslin has another year of eligibility left on the defensive side of the football. Those are guys, to me, and you mentioned this in your story because I want to get to secondary in a minute as well, because that's one where it could be really intriguing, that if you're the coaches now, and that's the thing, they're not around them. That's where you got to be on the bat phone over here almost constantly over the next couple of weeks.
Like you say, they go home and they're around their high school coaches, their family. There's really there's no NDSU influence directly around them. Now, you look at the portal, though, and we could get to and I want to address the secondary guys here in a second. Don't forget, NDSU's got a collective.
They do.
The Green and Gold Fund was pretty effective last year, losing Marty Brown and Heisman to six-figure offers. Wisniewski was going to leave anyway, so I don't know if that really, you can throw him in the mix. So we believe it's north of $2 million. Do we not?
Probably, in the amount of funds they have.
We don't know. It's not disclosed. But there is money available here, and it helped last year. Now, will that be enough to keep a lot of these secondary guys? And I don't know if some of these secondary guys are Big 12 FCC level. I question that. I don't know if there's enough. I don't know if there's enough evidence there.
Talon Edey is one, though. Again, he's got 3 years of eligibility. That one I point to, I'm like, okay, that's a guy, whatever they got to do to somehow coalesce on that and keep him around, that be a guy. Jaquise Alexander has 1 year left there. That's a tough bit.
Givens, 1 year.
Darius Givens has one, although he's a really good player, again, out of the Twin Cities. Jalen Crumby's a couple years left. I mean, they have a ton. Jalen Duffy is a couple years back, another all-conference guy. Those are, you got to talk to all of them. I mean, you got to, hey, we want you back here. Whatever we got to do that, we want you back here for next season.
Yeah, and NDSU generally has, I believe, a Tier 1, Tier 2 system of giving money out to the players. Now, maybe some you give some to more. That's a decision that the coaching staff and the collective and the team makers have to make. But I think there's a certain path forward to that. And keep in mind, most of FCS doesn't have that.
Yes.
I don't even know if anybody has
an FCS. Not at the level of what the Bison are doing.
Probably not.
No.
We don't know that for sure, but probably not. And so, if you lose some guys, keep in mind, why not? You can go after some guys yourself.
That's true. And they've already offered one man out of Wayne State. Carter Sitzman is an offer, a defensive end. I don't know if they're projecting potentially if they might lose somebody there, but they've made one offer that we know of.
I like the younger guys in NDSU's defensive line coming back.
Yep. Keenan Wilson's the other one. That's the one we haven't talked about.
I think they feel pretty good about him, though.
Wilson and Donovan Woolen, they got to fend off the vultures.
Right.
Because if I'm looking at it on the outside, Wilson has 2 years left, Woolen has 2 years left. Those are ones, to me. Donovan Woolen was a star this season for the Bison defensively. I don't know how you hang on to a guy like that. I don't.
Yeah, well.
You can try your best, but I just don't know how you keep a guy like that.
I don't have an answer for that. I don't know how you do either.
Now, skill position-wise, that's the intriguing part, knowing Barika Penu is moving on, obviously Cole Payton, Bryce Lance, Raja Nelson, Chris Harris. So there's a lot of guys we either don't know or haven't seen of yet. They're going to be moving up in the skill position parts of 2026.
Talking to the head coach this week and for my season-ending analysis that I do every year that's going to run Friday or Saturday, that he feels pretty good about the guys coming back.
We talked about Hayes, obviously we know that.
Yeah, but about the receivers.
Okay.
He feels pretty good about guys coming in. I assume he's talking about St. Romain.
Logan Conklin's back there at wide receiver. They have our guy Johnny Gores, Osterman. They have a couple freshmen, Dylan Vogel. They were like a lot out of Maple Grove.
So I think there's guys there, and I think they developed a better passing game, more depth within that passing game.
Kai Collins should be back next year. That's another. Yep. I mean, that size though. That's another one. He had a Kansas State offer out of Mankato before choosing to come here.
I don't think he's that attractive. Do you? I mean, he is hurt this year.
He did get banged up He's been banged up the last 2 years.
I mean, at Kansas State or whoever, they have limits too on how much they can spend.
Yep. I'm just telling you, the size out there, that's an
I know.
Tight ends one as well. I mean, obviously with Reese Kessel coming back because they're losing Finn Diggins and Carson Williams are moving on. That now
I would guess Reese
Diggins
Kessel's a
right.
tier 1 guy,
Correct.
I would imagine.
They like Gabe Cunningham as well, true freshman that redshirted this season. So that's the intriguing part on the skill spots they have back. But special teams, why? Ozick is back. They have, there's long snapper
Aaron
back.
Bickerton's back.
And Bowers and Bickerton's back. So all three guys are back there next season. But again, it's about can they maintain throughout this. I don't think Polisic was more concerned ever than was after Frisco last year. That 5-day stretch after the national
Has
championship
now turned
game
in over a month.
to keep everybody back. And now it's a much longer position on that. All right, now to the actual games on the field. Because there are still 8 teams playing. North Dakota State's not one of them. What do we make of it? Is it wide open for anybody, or is it Montana State head and shoulders above
right
everybody
now,
else?
obviously Montana State's the favorite just because they'll be playing at home, and if they do keep winning, they'll have the Grizz at home in Bozeman. That'll be a difference. Sometimes it's just your year. You know, last year was supposed to be Montana State's year.
Correct.
Their best team they ever had. Yep. And they may win it this year with, I don't know, the second best team they've ever had or third, who knows. But you know, so it's all about how things.
Can Illinois State make it? I think they win this weekend. Or is the quote-unquote the Bison hangover get them at UC Davis?
Last year, Illinois State went to UC Davis and got hammered 42-10. At some point, the gas runs out. I think South Dakota State did that a few years ago.
They did. They made it a round further. They made it all the way to the semifinals where they ran out of gas.
Just ran out of gas. I think it was at Montana or Montana
State. It was. Yep.
You know, Villanova, I've just never been sold on any CAA team. and look at I mean, Harvard, whatever. Lehigh, okay.
Correct.
Patriot.
It has been a path leading gold for the Wildcats.
Now they run into Tarleton's State.
good. I think that, you look at it, and I want to get to the rumor mill that's out there around that school as well. I think this is Tarleton's time, that they made it this far. I think they've got a great chance now to make it to Nashville.
And what a great time to be a student at Tarleton State. You're going to get $1 beers and $1 hot dogs at the game.
Hey,
if you're of age, of course.
Marketing works on trying to get people to the game.
Of course, they're going to be really checking IDs hard, I'm sure, in the student section.
South Dakota, what kind of chance? Now, I have Aiden Bauman on the show on Hot Mic this morning we saw them leaving. They looked like a shell of themselves when they left the Fargo Dome. And here they are now with a chance to make the semifinals for the second year in a row.
Again, won 7 and 8, but now you keep going, you keep traveling. And Washington Grizzly, it's a tough place to play. And they will probably sell it out this time around. I just don't. I think the magic runs out for the Coyotes here. On the other side, Montana State playing it.
A Texas team going to Montana? No. I don't. I know SFA's had a really nice year. I mean, we're going to have Brawl the Wild for the semifinals. That is going to be crazy next week.
Brawl the Wild, too. It reminds you of Dakota Markers.
Right. We've seen it plenty of times over with the Jacks and the Bison. Last thing before we go to break. The Big Mountain Podcast reported yesterday that North Dakota State, Tarleton State, and UC Davis are in discussions with the Mountain West Conference.
Yeah.
Now, we have reported that there is some more smoke around the Bison and the Mountain West. This would be for 2027 is what they reported. What do you make out of this?
Well, I mean, first of all, they identified unidentifiable sources.
Correct.
So we don't know who the sources are.
Yep.
It was two guys like us, two jamokes sitting in front of a camera. How do you know we know what we're talking about,
Correct.
So... yeah, there's something there. There's no question.
I think there's more there than there ever has been, though. Let me say that.
Maybe. But as long as you're being talked about, there's a chance, I guess. And so if you're NDSU, I would hope behind the scenes they're doing everything they can to make it happen.
Tarleton State, we've heard their name bandied about. Davis is going to the Mountain West in all sports but football. So we thought that'd be a logical sense anyway, if eventually they did expand, that Davis already has a handwritten
So
invitation.
I saw that podcast, and here's what I thought the biggest point they had, and I never really thought about this, but maybe it makes more sense now, that now with Tarleton and NDSU, if this so is true, you get 2 teams in the Central Time Zone to join the Northern Illinois and UTEP teams that are already in the Central Time Zone. And so I think there's maybe something to that.
Yeah, there's potential there. Till I see more of it, I'm not ready to get too excited, but again, like
and
you mentioned.
And they caution.
Yep.
So here's
Yep.
what you do. You caution.
Right.
This may not happen anytime
If you're
soon.
wrong, then you're all set on that.
Right.
Exactly right.
So they caveat. They put the caveat.
There's a buffer there.
There's a
Yes,
buffer.
yes.
We may be wrong.
Correct. Let's break on the BMZ. We come back. We'll chat some hoops. The Bison basketball teams are off to great starts, each on the road this week. We'll chat about that. We come back and wrap things up on this Wednesday after this. Back, everybody. Bison Media Zone rolls on. You're looking at the Bison victory over Weber State on Saturday. Got some numbers to show you here on the Bison women's basketball team because last night NDSU was selected into the mid-major poll, Jeffrey, for the first time in 2 years. North Dakota State ranked 23 in the women's mid-major poll, now with a mark of 7-2 on the season. Just a couple stats here to throw at you, what they've done so far on the year. And this is impressive to me considering what they've done and who they've done it against so far. So here we go. 7-2 overall, 3-1 at home. Coonan's averaging nearly a double-double. They got 4 players averaging double-figure points right now. Carrington Ass, the true freshman, has been great. Jossie Schiller, the transfer that's come in from UND, has been really good. Marissa Frost has taken off. Again, they got to show it when they play South Dakota State next month. But so far, this has been a really good start for Jory Collins' team.
The one key, Dom, to all this, Jocelyn Schiller.
Yeah.
The addition of her at point guard has just made all the difference in the world. It's made all the difference for Avery Coonan.
Yes.
Because now you got somebody who's strong with the ball out front, somebody who's a threat to score out front, and scores in many ways. And Jory pointed this out after, I can't remember what game I covered, but she's got the ability to play hard for so long. And just her stamina is really more than certainly most players. To me, that's the difference this year. Is you got a solid point guard who's mentally tough, who's reliable. I like everything about her game.
They go to Eastern Illinois tomorrow. They're going to be on the road here for the next little stretch here, and that's a game again in the past that maybe they'd mess around and maybe lose. You got to win that. Then next week they go out to California for a couple games, and then it's after Christmas break, and here we go with conference play. But, I mean, the fact that they're ranked where they're at, and I know it's a poll and you can do it in South Dakota State, I think is ranked second in that. I look at it right now, early returns on where the women's basketball race is. It's the Jacks, it's the Bison, and the Coyotes right now on the women's side.
Boy, and everybody else is a distant.
Yes, I mean,
fourth.
it's light years back of that.
Good for NDSU for being in the conversation at this point in the season. Several years ago, they were not, and certainly the many years of Division I, not even close.
And I think, too, you were at the Tulane game. The attendance for that on a Friday night was really, really good. I think and Montana State last week, they hammered them, and Montana State was ranked 7th in this same poll that the Bison are in now. I think from whatever happened at the end of last year for the NIT run, there's some swelling here of like, all right, there might be finally, 20 years into this, a team that could contend for a Division I berth.
Yeah, and I think there's a confidence about this team too. You can't go out there and hope to win.
Yes.
I think more and more we're seeing a team going out there expecting to win, expecting to play well.
Yep.
I just there's a little depth there too coming off the bench. I think Asp has been
really
fantastic.
Good. Yes.
She's 6'2", 6'3", player can shoot the three. I think it's getting more confident as she gets a little older here. You got to remember, she's just technically a true freshman.
Yeah.
She was a high school player last year, came early. But she's technically still a true freshman in my mind. And so I think as she develops into this, through Christmas, if she continues to do what she does, man, that's an element they haven't had in a long time.
Bison men are 7-3. They just got a nice win at Montana last week and beat Northern Arizona. What do we make of David's team so far?
Athletic. I think Markai Collins Strickland. I'm sorry.
Really good.
Is the difference here? He's a difference player here. He's 6'6". He moves. He's strong, man. He's so strong inside. Rebounds, can go up and play against players who are taller than him. So I think that's a difference. They were so good at the three-point shooting line last year, but sometimes you live and die by the three-pointer, as we saw. But with a team that's a little more athletic, you probably can win defensively.
They're doing that. They're
Yeah.
playing defense now, which is what David Richmond has built his team on throughout the years, and they're doing that. They're at Cal State Bakersfield coming up tomorrow night.
And Dave's ripping you more than ever, I've noticed
Loves
in your
doing that.
segment.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's his
he's
favorite thing.
coming up with some good zingers, so I think he's
Got off
really
your
on
game.
top of his game, too.
That'll wrap up this week's edition of the Bison Media Zone. We do it each and every Wednesday at 10:30. Our next basketball broadcast comes up Monday night for the Bison men against Crookston. For Jeff Kolpak, I'm Dom Izzo. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next Wednesday.